So in this video, I will tell you about the Japanese mindset that makes you unrecognizable. Now, there was a time when a man's word meant everything. In ancient Japan, if a samurai failed his code, there were no apologies, no second chances, there were only consequences. And that's how seriously they took their identity. That was the time when a man's promise meant the world. But today, we negotiate with ourselves. We give ourselves excuses. We hit snooze 5 times. We delay everything. We procrastinate for weeks and months and years. We make ourselves commitments and we break them like they meant nothing. So today, I'm gonna explain to you exactly how this mindset, this Japanese mindset, changed everything for me. How it took me from being a person who couldn't keep their own promises and who wasn't consistent and wasn't disciplined to a person who now keeps their promises, has self-trust, has self-confidence, and actually does the things that they set out to do. And as a bonus, I'm going to share with you a secret that helps me outwork and outperform everybody around me, but I'll talk more about that later. Let's move into part number 1. Identity over emotion. Now, samurais, they didn't rely on feelings. They relied on identity. There was no such thing as I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing the work. I don't feel like showing up. I don't feel like being consistent, because that was not their identity. They didn't care about whether or not they felt like doing the work or showing up. They only cared about identity. They only cared about keeping their promises, about living up to the person that they imagined themselves to be. You see, that's where everything changes. That's where you go from a place where you're just negotiating with yourself to a place where you set yourself realistic goals and you actually achieve them. You see, the Japanese mindset is called Bushido, and it wasn't motivation, it was a code. It was an actual physical mental code for their identity. You see, you didn't try to be disciplined, you didn't try to be consistent, you didn't try to keep your promises. You did those things because you had no other choice. Now, your word equals your reputation equals your survival. Now, in ancient Japan, reputation spread really fast. I mean, just one act of cowardice would ruin your reputation for good. It doesn't matter if it was a mistake, if you didn't know what to do, if you weren't thinking at the time. One bad thing could mean that your reputation was gone. And that's how much your word meant back in the days. But in today's day and age, people don't really care about keeping promises. You know, people can easily throw around words like, you know, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start the business. I'm going to show up at 7. And they fail to do all of those things, and there are no repercussions. But the biggest consequence nowadays of not keeping your promise, not being that person that you set out to be, is not other people or not the judgment of everybody else, but it is you. You lose self-trust. You see, when you say something and you do something else, it's not that other people are going to lose respect for you, but the most important person in the world is going to lose respect for you, and that is yourself. Now, you see, the problem with losing respect for yourself is it leaks into everything else. Now, the self-respect you lost by saying you would show up at 7 and you show up at 8, as an example, is going to reframe your identity so that when you feel like doing the work, when you have to do the work, you're going to push it off. You're going to procrastinate it. You're not going to make your bed. And you're going to have these 1% drawbacks that are just going to mess you up, that are just going to bring down your self-confidence even more. And that is the importance of shifting from a place where you just think about emotions, like, why does it even matter that you feel like doing something or you don't feel like doing something? You have to get the work done anyways. And if you care about your goal and if you care about the person you're becoming and where you're headed, then it's not going to matter if you feel like it, if it's raining outside, if it feels like, wow, a good opportunity or a good day to get work done, or you're feeling productive. Those things shouldn't matter, because, I mean, do you want your outcome to be a negotiable? Do you want the results, the dream life that you're building towards? Do you want it to be something that is inconsistent, something that might happen, might not happen? Because if you negotiate with your inputs, if you negotiate with the things that you have to do, then the world is going to negotiate with the results that you get, is going to negotiate with how much success you achieve, the person you are and the life that you live. So that dream life that you're thinking about, those visions that you have, if you really care about them, then you would do anything it takes to make them a guarantee. Like, imagine you could almost guarantee yourself the success that you're building towards. And the only way to do that is by prioritizing identity over emotions. Because when your inputs become non-negotiable, then your outputs also become non-negotiable. Life is simply an equation. You have A plus B equals C. Now, to change C, you need to change the inputs first. You can't change C by itself. So let's say C equals your success, right? To increase your success, you're going to have to either increase input A or input B, or you could choose to increase both. But you will not get success, you will not get goals, you will not achieve your dream life by just sitting around and doing nothing. Everything creates something, right? If you want something, you need to input something. You need to, put something on the line. And that's where part number 2 comes in, consequences over clarity. Now, clarity comes from stakes. It comes from pressure. It comes from deadlines. You see, to the samurais back then, failure had permanent consequences. There was so much pressure around them actually performing and doing the things that they had to do, that they literally had to do it. I mean, think about that exam, just for example. You push off the exam, you don't study for it till the last day. And then the last day, that is when you do all the studying. That's because you have to study, right? The exam is tomorrow. You can't push it off anymore. Because the deadline at that point, the day before the exam, the pressure and the deadline were so immense that it didn't matter how much discomfort was involved with taking the action. You just had to take the action anyway. Now, when you apply this rule to any part of your life, when you give yourself these deadlines and this pressure, then it doesn't matter if the work is hard. It doesn't matter if showing up is hard, if consistency is hard, or it feels impossible or out of reach. You just do the work anyways, because you know for a fact that the alternative is way, way worse. And that level of accountability, it changes everything. You know, today, nothing is going to happen. You are accountable for yourself. And what that means is if you miss a workout, the only person that is going to hold you accountable is you. So if you miss a workout, chances are nothing's going to happen. You're going to forget about it the next day. I mean, if you break a promise to yourself, nothing really changes. You just shrug it off. You know, social media scrolling continues, continuing to waste your time, continuing to procrastinate, to do the things that you know you shouldn't be doing, and all these things that are holding you back. And the reason why you keep doing them is because there is no pressure. There's no real deadlines like the samurais had back in the day. And that's where the Japanese mindset Bushido comes in, because it enforces this, you know, this level of accountability where you can't fail. You can't break your promises. You can't procrastinate. You can't not do the things that you have to do. So if you want to transform your life and become unrecognizable, then you need to manufacture consequences. So take out a journal and write down public commitments, write down your non-negotiables, and write down your reputation standards. So I'll explain what this means. So with public commitments, basically just imagine that a movie crew was walking around and filming you the whole entire day. With that level of accountability, with that level of awareness, you know, people just seeing you and now you're held responsible for your actions. What would you do differently? How would you live each and every second of every single day if you knew that there was literally a documentary crew following you around? Now write down what you would do differently. Write down the goals that you would achieve, how you would spend your time, and the person that you would live up to become. Now number 2 is reputation standards. What are your lowest standards for living, for habits, for the way you see yourself, right? What are the minimum things that you have to be doing in order to see yourself as a good person, as a productive person, as the person that you want to be? And now non-negotiables. So take out your journal and write down your non-negotiables, right? Even post them in the comments as a way to hold yourself accountable. My non-negotiables are: I wake up, I read for 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour. I meditate for 15 minutes. I go to work. I journal a little bit, I do gratitude, and then I go to the gym, and then I continue working, and then at night, I'll read, I'll journal, I'll think about life, I'll do nothing, sit in silence, and then I'll wake up, I'll not open my phone in the morning for the first 3 hours, and these are my non-negotiables. These are things that I do no matter what. If I'm feeling good, if I'm feeling amazing, if I'm feeling sad, or, you know, not my best, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna do these things anyway. Non-negotiables are key. These are things that hold your identity in place. These are your identity anchor, right? The truth is, identity is everything. And the identity is pretty much the way you see yourself, like your self-image. Now, a lot of the times, external factors like the success, the results that you see, you know, what people say to you, what happens in your life, all these things will come and change your identity. They will try to change the way you see yourself, but you can't allow that to happen, right? The moment you let external things change the way you see yourself internally, that is the moment you lose. So having non-negotiables creates this defense and shield for your identity, so that external things stop changing and swaying the person you see yourself as. Now, if you're watching these videos, it means that you are part of the top 1%. You are working towards building a better life. And if you like these videos, then make sure to subscribe. We're almost at 100K. Let's get it. Now, sometimes I feel like posting these videos. Sometimes I'm sitting and editing and I just don't feel creative, but that's part of the process. I just do the work anyways. I post twice per week. These are my non-negotiables. So now we're starting to post 3 times a week on this channel. And it doesn't matter if it feels like a lot of work. If I don't feel like doing it, I show up, I film, I edit, and the video goes out. No matter what, these are non-negotiables. And these are the things that are going to guarantee the output. So subscribe to the channel. Let's move on to part number 3. The practice of relentless self-mastery. You see, Bushido wasn't about fighting others or competing against everybody else. It was just about mastering yourself. It was about competing with yourself right now, comparing who you are today to who you were yesterday. So it is about relentless self-mastery. Self-mastery despite the consequences, despite the fear, the doubt, the overthinking, and the confusion. So the secret I was telling you earlier about goes like this. It is just simply having such strong belief in yourself, in your mind, in your world, in your goals, and the things that you want to achieve. Because belief really creates your reality, right? Reality is just but a mere projection of your internal state. So like we were talking about, the identity over emotions and controlling your identity, And having these non-negotiables as well, these are such important things because, you know, as we said, they create this defense. And you need this defense because if your belief changes, if you have the strong self-belief and something happens in your life and all of a sudden your self-belief goes down, it's a bad thing. We have to avoid that. So instead, you want to keep holding your belief as strong as possible. Your belief with how much you can succeed, how much you can see results in your life. That belief in yourself, in your vision, in your dream. It is so important. You see, self-mastery starts in the mind way before it starts in the body. And if you can see it, if you can envision your dream reality, the place that you want to go and all your goals, if you can close your eyes and visualize them so strongly, you are already halfway there. So a very, very important concept is never let your mind be disturbed. You see, today versus, 50 years ago, right now we have way more distractions. And yes, we have more opportunities, more information, and more resources at our disposal. But it is up to us to actually use them and benefit from this information because we have more distractions as well, right? Alongside the more opportunities, more technology, more resources, there's more distractions, more notifications, more checking your phone, more messages, more random things that pull you out of focus. Now, the Japanese mindset tells you that you have to master yourself, and mastering yourself involves mastering focus, right? Your energy flows where your awareness goes. So wherever you focus, whatever you focus on, right? Whatever the thoughts you have that are strongest in your mind, that is where your life is going to be headed. So you need to pinpoint your focus towards exactly what it is that you're doing. You need to focus on the tasks in front of you as much as possible. You need to have this laser focus that nothing can disturb. And that is harder than ever nowadays because we have more than ever distractions. We have more things that are pulling us from our highest potential. Now that's where samurais train sword practice, meditation, stillness. They train strategy, calligraphy, and all these things to just center the mind. Now, I never used to meditate a couple of years ago, and I only started meditating recently this year. I mean, this year it's 2026. I guess this year is 2025. So I started meditating 2025. And I always pushed it off. I'm like, meditation doesn't really matter. I'm reading, I'm doing these habits, but I just don't think I have to meditate. But meditation, has allowed me to literally just instill my mind and instill all the things that I want to instill and the beliefs and just center and focus my mind. It's basically like self-discipline at the highest level because you're controlling your mind. You're enforcing discipline with your thoughts, with your mental space, with the way you think, the way you feel, and your body. So meditation is among the things that the Japanese practice that also just wildly changes your life. It transforms you. It makes you unrecognizable. Because think about it, meditation changes the way your mind works. And if you change the way your mind works, then you change everything else because everything starts with the mind, with your mindset. Today you might not have sword practice like the Japanese did, the samurais did back then, but we still have access to many things like martial arts, like sports, like meditation, like reading, like self-mastery, exercise, going for walks, spending time in nature. Spending time writing down about your thoughts, writing down your goals, and planning out where you want to go. And one advantage that these samurais didn't have back in the day that we have today is community, right? Think about it. Community is what really allows you and shapes you. Your environment shapes you. If you surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th. If you surround yourself with 5 broke people, you'll be the 6th. If you surround yourself with 5 lazy people, you're going to be the 6th lazy person there. So you need to change your environment to change your life, to build that discipline that is going to unlock success in your life, to beat procrastination, to get to your goals. And that is exactly why I talk about Discipline OS in every single video, because right now we're building a community. We're at 160 plus members. And if you think about it, if you just surround yourself with that many disciplined, focused, and intentional people, then you're just going to be the next. Well, that's exactly what we created. My best friend and I, in high school, we met up, we started grinding, working together on the business, and we founded Discipline OS, where we focus on building the habits, destroying bad habits, beating procrastination, building the discipline that is going to change your life. And this has nothing to do with the samurais, but I thought the Bushido Japanese mindset was really interesting when it comes to personal growth, self-development, and getting to where you want to be. And that is what our community is about: dopamine rewiring, identity shifting, and mastering focus. Now, if you know that it's time to actually make real change towards your life, then click the link in the description below and join us today. Take care, and you got this.